Beneath the silent veil of time, minds emerged that didn't just understand the world, they reinvented it. Einstein bent the fabric of space. Newton carved order out of chaos. Curie glowed in the darkness of radiation. And Darwin challenged the very foundations of creation. But where do geniuses come from? Are they chosen by the gods? Children of chance? Or the result of an obsession nurtured in silence? Today, we'll cross centuries in search of the spark that turns ordinary people into eternal figures. Get ready to dive into stories of pain, legacy, sacrifice, and brilliance. If great minds inspire you, like, subscribe, and share. Because every true revolution begins with one idea and the right question. The gift, the environment, and the price of genius. Einstein, Newton, Marie Curie, Darwin. 4 names that shook the foundations of science. But there's also Shakespeare, who reshaped language, Freud, who explored the unconscious, and even Napoleon, considered by some a genius of war. The question that haunts us is simple, yet deep. What makes someone a genius? The answer may lie in the word itself. From Latin, genius suggests a near-divine ability to create something new, and a natural calling to do so. As if some people are born with a singular spark, able to see the world from an angle no one else can. That's the spark Francis Galton set out to find, measuring entire families of brilliant people, trying to uncover whether talent was inherited. The result, published in his book Hereditary Genius, carried a dark undertone: eugenics. Galton noticed that judges, scientists, and award winners often came from the same households. In fact, 7 different families saw both parents and children receive Nobel Prizes. But what does that prove? A genetic legacy, or the power of growing up surrounded by science, ideas, and stimulation? Take Irene Joliot-Curie, daughter of Marie Curie, raised among test tubes and radioactive theories. Or little Wolfgang Mozart, rigorously trained by his father from the age of 4. Genetics help. But how do you tame dragons if you aren't a Targaryen? Writer Andrew Robinson goes deeper. In Genius, a very short introduction, he points to a striking fact. Losing one or both parents in childhood or adolescence is at least 3 times more common among geniuses. It happened to Curie, Darwin, Beethoven, Mark Twain, and even Bruce Wayne. According to some theories, this pain could fuel creativity, a drive to find order in chaos, to turn suffering into beauty. Just ask Tony Stark. And there's another side to the coin: mental disorders. Depression, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder. They're more common among geniuses and their families. In some cases, mental turmoil seems to walk hand in hand with the creative process. Mathematician John Nash is living proof. His journey was immortalized in A Beautiful Mind. But what about formal education? Surprisingly, most studies don't point to diplomas as the engine of genius. Foundational knowledge matters, of course, but on its own, it doesn't ignite the creative spark. After all, creativity and intelligence are sisters, but not twins. Geniuses do tend to be highly intelligent, but high intelligence alone doesn't guarantee genius. As Thomas Edison once said, genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. The cost of practice, time, and training. To many, genius looks like a sudden gift. But look closer, and you'll see it's born from persistence, solitary effort, and time, especially in fields that depend on personal expression, like literature or mathematics. Even there, talent doesn't simply appear. It's cultivated, refined, and watered with sweat. Galton, the same researcher obsessed with brilliant bloodlines, noticed something curious. Among writers and artists, the link between talent and family was much weaker. Genius in these cases ignited through other means: relentless effort, technique, and repetition. And that's exactly what we see today in fields like esports or chess, where progress can no longer be attributed to genetics. The secret lies in training, in monk-like dedication, and in the precise sharpening of raw ability. That's why the real question isn't where you are right now, but whether you're moving forward. A growth mindset is what turns potential into achievement. Psychologist John Hayes observed a pattern among major creators. It usually takes at least 10 years of deep immersion in a field before someone can truly innovate. Yes, there are exceptions, Newton, for instance. But in general, whether in painting, music, or science, even Darwin took years to commit his theory to paper. Einstein began exploring the concept of relativity in 1895. The full theory wasn't published until a decade later. Behind every genius, there's a kind of obsession, a restlessness that refuses to let talent sleep. Of course, there's one major exception to this rule: mathematicians. They tend to break new ground while still young. And there's a reason for that. The way our minds function shifts over time, and so do the windows of genius. In 2015, Joshua Hartshorne and Laura Germain revealed how it works. Our raw processing power peaks around 18 or 19. Short-term memory thrives between 25 and 35. The ability to read others' emotions sharpens between 40 and 50. And vocabulary? That hits its prime between 65 and 70. So genius doesn't wear just one face. It changes with time. It evolves. And to truly flourish, it needs something rare: the right mix of talent, training, and timing. Invisible geniuses, the silence between the lines. If talent and practice shape a genius, then why are so many faces missing from the portraits of history? In 1927, a photo from the famous Solvay conference immortalized the greatest physicists of the time. But among them, only one woman. The rest were all white men. So what happened to the geniuses who weren't invited? Eileen Polak, in The Only Woman in the Room, shines a light on this mystery. Up until the age of 12, girls and boys perform equally, sometimes even better, in mathematics. But then something shifts. Cultural pressure, stereotypes, and a lack of encouragement silence talent before it ever has a chance to bloom. It's not a question of ability, it's a question of access. Even when brilliance screams from the page, it's ignored. The same resume sent to a lab with the name John gets more replies and higher salary offers than when it's signed Jennifer. And that happened in 2010, not the Middle Ages. What's worse, this bias shows up even when the reviewer is a woman. The prejudice is so deeply embedded that it goes unnoticed, disguised as professional impression. Now add to that the inequality in basic education, the crumbling infrastructure, the lack of inspiring teachers, and you get a tragic reality. Geniuses fading into silence in the outskirts, in underfunded schools, in the forgotten hallways of science. Not because they lack brilliance, but because no one ever showed up with a flashlight to light their way. If this journey sparked your curiosity, here are 2 books that can take the conversation even further. Genius, a very short introduction by Andrew Robinson, explores the origins of the concept of genius, the impact of great minds on the world, and the traits they seem to share. It's a concise, straight-to-the-point book, but packed with powerful insights and references. The Only Woman in the Room by Eileen Polak goes beyond science. It's a deeply personal account of a woman who loved physics but ultimately chose a different path. The author reflects on education, vocation, and the many reasons why so many women are pushed away from the exact sciences. A must-read, especially for teachers hoping to become beacons for future generations. And if this story made you think, then like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Because in our next journey, we just might discover that the world's next genius could be you. See you in the next video.